Alright guys, welcome back to another video. It looks like the tables have turned as apparently now Warner Brothers for some reason is looking at Paramount and possibly at another bidding war or something like that. I honestly don't know what the hell is going on. But let's talk about that. Before we get any further, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. If you guys don't like listening to me talk about pop culture stuff with my thoughts on it, I do reviews and stuff too. I'm doing reviews. I'm trying to do more of those, and I'm going to start trying to do more of my Let's Plays. You know, I made a video talking about how I'm having some technical problems, but I am working on that, So, just hang in there. Like, I'm trying to get the videos uploaded, but my PS5 kind of sucks. So, it downloading crap. So, I'm kind of gonna find probably another game to kind of let's play. I have stacked the states, but I'm getting closer to being done with that. But, anywho, yeah, like I said, if you guys don't like watching these kind of videos, you guys can click off of it, because I don't want people, bitching about, oh, why did I get recommended this, or something like that, that's why I make different videos, and I like talking about different stuff, so, that way I can take a break, too, so, but, anywho, oh yeah, make sure you guys are still subscribed too, yeah, because that's been happening in the past too. People have been reporting about that, so yeah. But anywho, yes, we are gonna talk about Warner Brothers and Netflix and Paramount again, because why not? I was actually going to wait to just do this video until we are confirmed 100%. Who is going to get, who is actually going to get, Warner Brothers, but, apparently that's, not happening right now. It's a fucking, it's like a fucking cat fight or dog fight, I don't know, I would say maybe a dog fight, it's getting kind of mean, but cats can be kind of mean too. But it is pretty, it's a pretty, freaking mess, big mess going on and all that, but I have a lot to say, so, yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what happened behind the scenes, but suddenly Warner Brothers is looking at Paramount again to sell them to Paramount, and, Netflix is now pissed off. Before, it was Paramount, and now fucking Netflix is pissed off because, like I said, this whole thing is fucking stupid. It is fucking stupid, and, yeah, I hate this. I don't want any of them to get Warner Brothers, but obviously one's gonna get it, and I'm just like, you're just dragging this shit out, and it's gonna cost people fucking jobs, because they may be holding off trying to animate for stuff, or make movies or film stuff because, they don't know what the hell is gonna happen, because whenever we have these mergers, there are fucking layoffs. Actually, there was, when Skydance merged with, Paramount, and they got Paramount, and all that, that basically, cost a lot of people jobs, too. And that's probably what's gonna happen again, for whoever is gonna get Warner Brothers. But I think Paramount might end up getting it, which you may be thinking, well, that could be a good thing, because, physical media and all that, and yes, I gotta say, the more physical media, the better. However, there's a problem with this, and that is, how much is fucking Paramount going to pay, or I should say the goddamn Ellisons. I'm sorry to say it like that, but I fucking do not like the Ellisons. I do not like them, I don't like them. It's not even politics. It's just, I don't freaking like how stubborn and all that they are with this crap. Like, why the hell are they so obsessed with getting fucking Warner Brothers? Like, why are they so obsessed? Hell, fucking Disney, yeah, they went in a bidding war, but this shit didn't go this badly when fucking Disney and, Disney and, Fox and Universal were at it, this didn't go this bad. I mean, yeah, Disney lost a shit ton of money, but they didn't, like, Comcast wasn't trying to, constantly fight with Disney and all that on it. Here it's like fucking Paramount, they're like so desperate to get it. And some people are speculating, well, it's probably, CNN and all that, but they want to get rid of, Trump wants to get rid of CNN because, of some of the crap they've been saying and all that, but I'm just like, I don't know, I'm like, again, it just, to me, it just looks like, if that's actually the case, which I don't know 100% true, I'm just saying that's what people have been thinking. I'm just saying, like, it just seems kind of fucking stupid for them to buy it just for that. It's kind of like, again, Disney buying Fox. They basically bought Fox's leftovers and all that, and although they're clear and all with the money and all, they lost a shit ton of money. And I don't know if Disney, got out of debt. I think they're still in debt. Of course, they're hiding it, but, they're kind of hiding it a bit, but I can kind of see they're kind of pushing a lot of stuff and all that. Like, I definitely think, like, they're increasing prices, and usually, when, a company is financially in trouble, a lot of times they will increase their prices and stuff to get back money they've lost, so, yeah, but I know they were in debt when they bought it the first time, because they lost a lot of money. Iger borrowed a lot for Fox when he bought it from the company, and then the COVID, COVID hit and all that, and that was a big mess, and yeah, I'm just saying, it was a big mess, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm afraid is gonna happen here, and all that, and that's the thing, they were at one point offering $8 billion, and the thing is, what's really stupid about this shit is, they're fucking, like, trying to argue, I mean, other people are too, but, but when you, like, look into the company itself, they're flat out trying to say, because a lot of people might not notice this stuff, but, like, they're trying to say that, they're trying to, like, argue and all that fucking, if Netflix gets it, they're gonna poison the kids' minds and all that with this LGBTQ stuff and all that, and I'm not gonna lie, a lot of this shit was, a lot of shit, they've been making was not very good, and it kind of ruined stuff, like Velma. I mentioned that Velma was probably, like, it's probably one of the worst, cartoon shows I've ever seen. It was bad, like, it had terrible writing and all in it, and all that stuff in there, but I guess that's not really a kid's show, but, they kind of had the LGBTQ thing in there. For some reason, her and Daphne were paired up together, even though Daphne's always been with Fred. It made no sense and all that. But on other hands, they made some good stories with Adventure Time and all that too. But that's the thing, though. Like, I'm not one with it's a very device topic. Like I said, it's device and all that. Like, it's like like I said, it's very device and all that. Like, I think let's say with Paramount, not Paramount, with with this, this kind of stuff and all, like, it's kind of, very device, and some people think it's not a big deal, other people are, like, thinking, it's bad for kids' minds and all that, and they'll grow up and be gay. I don't know, it's very confusing, but I'm just like, I don't know, I just don't think it makes sense, but even if it does, I'm like, they can still make the content and make it older for people, I don't know, it's, I don't know, they can make it PG-13 or something, I don't know, I'm just like, I don't know, I don't think they need to do that, I'm just saying, like, that's the thing, they can still make the content, but it's like that people don't want it at all, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I think it can be good at times, but like I said, like turning Velma into a lesbian and all that makes no sense. And they've kind of been trying to do that for a long time, so but yeah, I mean that's just an example. But I'm just saying, like I don't really, I mean I don't really care at this point who gets it, because I think we're gonna see a disaster no matter what. Because if Netflix gets it, yeah, we're probably gonna have a lot of bad shows, and probably less physical media and theatrical releases. But if Paramount gets it, we'll probably have more of that, but we might have less of this content because freaking Paramount might go Disney and cancel a lot of shit because they're trying to charge a lot of money to get this thing. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And we have to remember too, they just fired like a ton of their damn employees for Nickelodeon too. Which I actually never brought up yet, but yeah, they did. They fired a shit ton of employees at Nickelodeon and all of that, that were working on animation, probably because they're trying to pay for this stuff. And the hell, they even said they're trying to, or actually, I don't know if they haven't confirmed this, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is true. Because I've heard resources on it, but they were talking about possibly, getting the Salvies involved with it and all that. And again, you could say, well, you don't know if that's true or not, but you also don't have proof if Netflix 100% is going to get rid of theatrical releases, entirely. They may just put more of them in theaters. You don't know. But I'm just saying, it's still a shit ton of money, and the Ellisons would have to get it from somewhere. They'd have to get it from somewhere and all that, because there ain't no way they'd be able to pay $108 billion on that. And you could say, well, they're loaded with money, but that's still ridiculous just to buy a studio and all that, it's still ridiculous. And like I said, if they get it, they'll probably lay off a ton of people, And that's the thing, though. I think it's just, it doesn't matter who gets Warner Brothers. I think we're going to see a disaster no matter what, and that's the problem. And at this point, I'm just done with Hollywood. I'm pretty much just done with them anymore. Like, Hollywood is not like it used to be, I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to see my favorite stuff, get destroyed, but it's pretty much already there, Like, I don't really want to see that, But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So I'm like, heck, I don't know. Even if, like, the Ellisons get, like, Paramount, I mean, they're probably getting it just like Disney did with Fox to add more crap to their streaming platform, which may or may not work because, I mean, Disney's spending a shit ton of money on, streaming. I just, I made a video in the past, a few videos actually, talking about Disney buying Hulu. They just spent all that money on Hulu, and people are trying to say, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal at all. It's just, they're still gonna keep the brand and all that, but I'm like, they basically just bought it, and now they're shutting it down, and everybody's taking their shit off of Hulu anyway, so it's like, it's just another Disney Plus, so they fucking blew a shit ton of money, buying Hulu and all that, and that's the thing, they could have just used Disney Plus on Hulu and built it that way. They didn't need to, build another platform, But they got fucking greedy and wanted to do that. And that's why they got Fox and all that, because they wanted to compete with Netflix. And then now we're gonna have, Paramount possibly do the same thing, and it may be fine at first, but we're gonna see consequences down the road, I don't know, it's just gonna be pretty bad. And so far, we haven't really gotten any of the problems fixed at Paramount yet, and you could be like, well, they've only been there for a year and all that, but a year is still a long time, and I haven't really seen much improvement. Nickelodeon and all that, their show is still they still got their show and all that, it's that SpongeBob's on, which, SpongeBob is like the face of Nickelodeon, which I wouldn't probably mind, but they don't give the other shows a chance and all that, and, I mean, you can say, like, maybe they should just end the show and all that, but it's still pretty popular. It's not like Family Guy or anything. It's where Family Guy is just, like, boring now. Like, nobody really talks about it much anymore, where, SpongeBob, people still talk about it. You can still find merchandise all over the place, so it's still popular, even if people don't like the newer seasons, which I haven't seen, so I can't say, because I do reviews on this stuff, it's still popular, but they still need to give other shows a chance, too, I feel like, I still think they need to do that, And then they were doing this thing, too, where they were trying to put Henry Danger on there, and Henry Danger is like, I think that show was milked to death, too, but yeah, Henry Danger was a little bit different, because I think they had, like, well, I guess, no, they were like SpongeBob, too. They kind of, like, milked it, too, and, got a bunch of spin-offs, I think, too, and it was just, like, I haven't seen that show in a while. I remember it being pretty good early on, but then it kind of went to hell afterwards, but I think that's the time, too, when, Dan Strider, or I think, whatever his name is, I think it's Dan Strider, yeah, I think that's what his name is, got fired from Nickelodeon because of some problems. Like he was doing he was a pervert and all that. He got fired, and he even admitted it later on that he was a pervert, but, he got fired, and then the show kind of went to hell afterwards. I don't know. I mean, I have to, like, watch the show to kind of figure that out. But yeah, I've seen it in the later episodes. Yeah, they weren't as, the jokes were really terrible and all. I remember the older ones being a lot more clever and funny, but that could also be just writers coming into. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting there, but yeah, they definitely milked that show to death. And that's the thing, though, with Paramount, with the CEOs, they're not really doing anything to fix any of the problems. So I mean, the shows may not even be affected. I don't know. I just know there are also a lot of shows on Paramount Plus, by the way, that are not even available on the platform, so it's like, it's not really worth it as much, and there are a lot of shows, by the way, they have not released on DVD. Nickelodeon they have, but like, Nick Jr. and all, they have not. There's not a lot of DVDs on them, and all that, and I think they've had some, I mean, I guess they've been releasing some stuff on, like, Comedy Central and all that, but they've been really focusing more on Nickelodeon stuff, and even then, like I said, not all shows I've been finding all shows on DVD, like, I mean, like, Tough Puppy, well, Tough Puppy is on DVD, but it's very rare to find it, and that was a very popular show, but yeah, it was a very popular children's show. I think a lot of people are very mixed on it, but it was very popular. But it does have some DVDs, but they're very hard to come across. But there's like stuff like that too, and I don't know if the Mighty Bee has ever had any shows. There are a few, but yeah, it feels like Nickelodeon, at least they are releasing stuff on DVD. But they've been doing that. They've been doing that even before the Ellisons took over. But I don't know if things are going to change or not. That's what I'm afraid of, because I'm like, they seem to be very, banked on this whole streaming stuff too, and that's kind of the problem. Like, I feel like now some people might not like me saying this, but I feel like the Ellisons are kind of like Iger in a way. Like, their mindset's kind of like Iger, where they just want to overspend on shit and acquire a bunch of crap. Which, I mean, they haven't bought, well, yeah, I guess they bought some stuff. Yeah, they bought, like, TikTok and all that, and then they bought, like, they bought Paramount, obviously, and now they want to do, the same thing with, and all that. They want to do the same thing with freaking, like, Warner Brothers here, and they just bought Paramount not that long ago, so I'm just like, again, it definitely feels like, it's kind of forced there or not, but you got that, and then, they're very obsessed with, like, politics and stuff. Now, I don't think I've seen that in the shows, but I do know they are. They are very obsessed with that, which I'm just hoping they don't go overboard with that. Because that's the thing, though, too. Like, like if they go too far left or right, it's not very good. And that's kind of what happened before. Hollywood was going too far the left, and that's kind of how we ended up with all these shitty, mistakes and stuff. But if they go too far to the right, we're gonna have probably some similar problems. Probably not maybe as bad, but I think we need to kind of be in the middle, just make good stories and stuff, and all that. But I don't know. But yeah, I definitely see freaking Iger and these guys, and that's not a good thing because Iger was a fucking horrible CEO at Disney. He was, and I know people are probably tired of me talking about Disney all the time, but that's really what these guys remind me of, and that's not a good thing. That is not a good thing. They're going on a money sprint, buying shit up left and right, and that's why Disney fucking lost so much money, and that's why they're not the recognizable brand they are. And I mean, yeah, Paramount, I feel like needed some more properties under it because, they don't really own a ton of stuff, but still, they still, I don't feel like going from buying Paramount to buying Warner Brothers was a good idea either, but that's what they're trying to do. Which, again, I still don't know why the hell they're doing that. But, I'm kind of done talking about this stuff. I actually want to talk about something else. I know this video is very long, but I've had a lot of shit to say, because I'm kind of pissed about this whole thing, because I don't like this feud going back and forth. I'm kind of just wanting this shit to get over, because I feel bad for the people working at these studios, because I'm like, again, with them trying to drag out this crap, it does cost, people to make less content, and if they go to court, then they have to take money and all that from the company, and, it's a fucking mess, and all that, But I want to talk about another mess people are talking about, which this is something I don't agree with at all. People are trying to say that, they're trying to fucking say that Netflix would be an antitrust issue if they got Warner Brothers. And that's what I want to show you guys. So we're going to do that real quick. Now, I haven't read all of this stuff, but this is kind of what would happen if Netflix got Warner Brothers here. Now this stuff looks like it's just shows, but so it's just showing the shows. It looks like I was kind of having a hard time finding some stuff, so I couldn't find a full list here, but yeah, it looks like it's just showing. It's showing the shows and stuff. But yeah, you see Adventure Time, they would get a hold of Adventure Time, Cartoon Network, and all that. Like, I don't know why they have it labeled like this. Because, I mean, it makes it look like it's a bunch, but it's not. Because if you guys look here, like I said, it's showing, like, Game of Thrones, that's a TV show. Actually, I think it's a TV show that's already on Netflix. They already own that. And then you got the Powerpuff Girls and all that. You got all that stuff. Now, the thing is, though, they would get Hanna-Barbera. They would have Hanna-Barbera. They would have not just Hanna-Barbera, but they would have, they would get, not just Hanna-Barbera, but they would also get, Cartoon Network, as we saw here, Adult Swim, which is probably around there somewhere. Yeah, they would get that. They would get, probably CNN, honestly, but I don't know why. Like, I don't know why you would really even want CNN. Like, I mean, do a lot of people even watch the news anymore? Like, I mean, maybe some people do, but I feel like people are kind of just like at the point where they just go on online and watch the stuff. I don't see a lot of people going on the news or hear about people talking about the news a lot anymore, but maybe they still do. But yeah, they probably would get that. Oh yeah, they get Robot Chicken too. So yeah, they would get a lot of TV shows. But yeah, they get a lot of TV shows and all that. So there's that, and then here's what Universal owns. You guys see here, Universal owns a lot more shit than freaking Netflix would have owned. Actually, I think they own more than Paramount. I have to actually look at that. But see, they own their own news station. They own DreamWorks. They own apparently Go Fish Pictures, which I guess is probably DreamWorks too. I don't even know what the hell that even is. What is Go Fish Pictures? I never heard of that. They have Illumination, Peacock, which is their streaming service, obviously, and all that. And then, you know, all this other stuff, you know. I mean, the list could go on and on. I mean, they even own Sprout, which isn't Sprout anymore. I think it's called Universal Kids, which is actually down there. But, you know, they still own that. Which I actually did, for a long time, didn't know which one owned it. Until, you know, because I didn't know who owned PBS Kids. I knew it wasn't Disney or Nickelodeon, because Disney and Nickelodeon, you know, Nickelodeon had Noggin, you know, and all, and then Disney had, you know, Playhouse Disney, which is now Disney Junior. I didn't know who owned PBS Kids. I didn't know if it was Warner Brothers or Universal or Columbia Pictures, but no, apparently it's Universal. Which I don't know if they owned it in the 2000s or not, because I know they had Sprout. And they rebranded it to, to Universal Kids, so I don't know. But they own a lot of shit here. And then here's what Disney owns here. Disney owns ABC, they own, A&E, which I think is a sports channel. They own, they have their, obvious brands or their channels like Disney XD, which used to be called Toon Disney, and then which I think you can still find some DVDs on that too, which is kind of another reason why physical media is better. Unfortunately, Paramount, I don't think there's any really Noggin DVDs. There's one with Moose and Z that I have, but which for the longest time I didn't know existed, but that's the thing there. And then they have, they had Playhouse Disney, which is now Disney Junior, Disney Channel, which is still there. They have ESPN. For some reason, they got, like, a bunch of different labels of it. I'm not sure why, like, why there's so many different versions of it. And there's Pixar. They got Pixar, Marvel, and I don't know if 20th Century Fox is on here or not. I don't know if I see that. They have Hulu too. They got Hulu too, because I mentioned that, like, that they bought Hulu, and that's the thing too. That's the thing. There's like they have that, and then we have if Warner Brothers and Paramount would get the properties. So I think the stuff down here actually it's all mixed up, I guess. I'm sorry about that. I should have probably split that apart. But apparently they own TikTok. I don't know if I brought that up yet, but yeah, they own freaking TikTok. Actually, I think I did bring that up. But they would get Boomerang, they would get HBO Max, which honestly would probably get shut down. They have Pluto TV. Yeah, a lot of people probably don't know that Paramount Plus has Pluto TV, which I don't know why the hell they have that. Instead of freaking firing all your damn employees, why don't you just shut down freaking Pluto TV? That would make more sense. That'd probably save some money. Because I don't know how, it's probably charging a lot to keep Pluto TV up. Yeah, and they would get Discovery and all, they would get all this shit. Because I think they were talking about David Ellison wanting to, like, not David Ellison, David Lasley, David Lasley talking about wanting to, he was talking about wanting to, like, they were talking about him wanting to just keep, Discovery and just sell off, like, the movie crap and all that, but no, I think they were talking about, Paramount wanting to get all of it, so, yeah, they would get all this stuff, which, again, wouldn't, it seems like a lot, but I don't think Well, I mean, yeah, Warner Brothers has like a big library of stuff. They got a lot of library of things. I mean, they bought, like, Hanna-Barbera, as I mentioned. They own, like I said, they own Cartoon Network and CNN and all. They eat all that shit. I don't know what CNN. They might not get it. They might have to merge it off somewhere, but I don't know. Freaking CNN, from what I could hear, their ratings are bad, and I think they're pretty much dead. Anyway, so I'm like, I don't know why you'd want to bother doing all this just to buy it. But that's my point. This is why I was showing you guys all this shit. Because people are trying to say that freaking Netflix, getting Warner Brothers would be a monopoly. I'm like, look at all this shit. And all that, Hell, freaking Netflix would probably have hardly anything. They would have hardly anything, really. I think they'd be pretty much just... I mean, they would still have licensing to some stuff, I think, but they wouldn't have hardly anything. So I'm just like, I mean, that's the thing, I'm sure I'm sure freaking Netflix probably would go and buy something else if they wanted to. I mean, if I were Netflix, I'd be like, you know what? You want to have Warner Brothers, fucking take it. We'll buy something else. We'll go buy something else. I mean, they could probably do that. They could probably just go buy something else. I mean, again, that will probably affect theaters. But that's the thing. That people think if Paramount gets Warner Brothers, then that means that the theaters and shit will be saved. But they don't realize that Netflix can turn around and go buy something else if they wanted to. That's the thing. People don't realize that. And actually, this is a rumor. I don't know if this is true. Now, I don't know if this will happen now because, Disney has a new, CEO. But there was a rumor going around that I think Netflix was talking about wanting to buy Disney. They were wanting to buy Disney and all that. They were talking about that. And then they were talking about wanting to buy Disney, and then Warner Brothers, well, not Warner Brothers, I mean, Warner Brothers ended up becoming for sale. Now that's a rumor. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's kind of the thing. But that's the thing, like I said, there's, like, even if Paramount gets Warner Brothers, then Netflix can go buy something else. I'm just saying, And even then, I'm like, Hollywood's basically dead. I mean, it's fucking dead. It's basically dead. Like, I mean, every so often you'll get something good out of them, but they're pretty much dead. They all they really care about is focusing on sequels. Disney does that a lot. They focus on sequels. Nickelodeon focuses on SpongeBob. They don't really care about original stuff anymore. They don't care about their animators. And that's the thing, too. I'm just like, I would just go create something somewhere else, I mean, you don't have to create your own studio, but I'm just saying you do not want to go into Hollywood. Like, I think in today's world, going into Hollywood to make something is probably not a good idea. I'm just saying. But yeah, this right here, this shows you guys that, like, maybe not Paramount, but Disney and Universal definitely, like, would still be much bigger than freaking Netflix and stuff if they were to get it. So I don't see the problem with that happening. Now I do agree that, like, I think Paramount shouldn't be allowed to buy it, because of how big that make them pretty big, but they would still be, I think they would still be smaller than Disney, because Disney would be still bigger, I think. I don't know, I have to, like, look at that, because I don't think, Warner Brothers has got a lot of films on their belt, but I don't remember them having a lot of kids channels. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they were main stuff. Oh yeah, they had Boomerang too, but again, Boomerang was just Boomerang was a great channel back in the day. It sucks anymore. Like it looks more like a box. You guys see that by the HBO Max down there? That's basically it looking like a box. It used to not look like that. Well, I guess they would get Animal Planet, which I thought I didn't think they'd have Animal Planet, but I mean, I guess they would get some stuff. They get, I guess that Warner Brothers would have other channels too. It looks like, but there's just not really a lot of channels here that you can't really find anywhere else. I guess. Actually, not now. I'm looking at it. Okay, this is the companies and networks and channels, and down here is some of the major franchises. Okay. Because they already have Skydance, they have TikTok, they bought TikTok. I don't know what that's another streaming platform. I don't know that F1, that's another thing. I think it's another streaming platform. Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know what the heck that is. Does Warner Brothers have Rotten Tomatoes? I would think that was just a separate app. I don't know why that's there. Maybe they own it. I mean, who the hell knows anymore? But yeah, they have DC. I forgot about DC. Yeah, because that's technically a separate studio too. But again, like, yeah, it's a separate studio and all that. But I'm just saying, there's HBO. Yeah, I've got HBO because HBO Max, CNN, and CBS. But CNN would probably be gone or get sold off to somebody else because they wouldn't be allowed to buy it. Then they got TBS, yeah, I forgot about that. Comedy Central, and yeah, I got Paramount Plus, which is another streaming platform, and Pluto TV is too. And then I got Discovery, which is another channel. Yeah, so they would get a lot of shit. I mean, they would, but again, a lot of this stuff's also streaming services, and then stuff like Boomerang and Cartoon Network are basically kind of the same thing, Because Boomerang, so the whole point of Boomerang was to bring back like older shows and stuff. But then it slowly became the new Cartoon Network, and that's why it looks like that. It looks like that because of that. It's kind of annoying, but that's kind of what it is. But yeah, they would get all those channels and stuff, which is a lot of channels. But again, compared to that's still not as big as studios as Disney and Comcast, aka Universal. They would still have a lot more of that. Because again, it may look like a lot here, but it would be less here. But again, Netflix wouldn't have any of this shit. They wouldn't have any of this, because I want to clarify, they don't have any studios, because they just stream stuff, But, that's what I'm saying, it wouldn't be an antitrust law, It would be just again, it doesn't make any sense. But even, I think even they were trying to fight this in court and all, trying to say, oh, it's an antitrust law, and all. I'm like, no, it's not. It's bullshit. It is not an antitrust law. And I've stated that I think, I think Disney needs to be broken up. They're too big. And maybe even Universal. I don't know. Universal's pretty big too, but I don't know. Universal's got a lot of crap under their belt too, but they also don't own Fox either, so they don't own two different giant, massive, companies. Disney owns Fox too, so you got to remember that. Universal doesn't even own that. They own a lot of shit too, but not like that. That's the thing. But yeah, I think there should be a limit on how much you can buy with that stuff. You could be well, where would all this stuff go? Who could buy it? And that's the thing. They could still buy the stuff, but I don't think they should be allowed to buy the entire studio. I think maybe it should be split up. I think it could be it could probably kill the brand or something. I mean, they could still keep the brand if they wanted to, but I don't know. They don't need to have all this stuff, But I don't know. But that's pretty much it, though. That's pretty much what we have here. But yeah, I was just looking at this wrong. The channels were at the top here. But yeah, a lot of those, like I said, a lot of those would be gone. I mean, a lot of them would be gone, and I don't know. I'm gonna try to see sports. There's a CBS Sports. I don't know if Warner Brothers would have sports or not. I don't know. I didn't know CBS had sports. I need to be fair, I don't really watch sports that much, so I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, if they do have sports, Paramount wouldn't be able to buy it because that's what happened with Fox. Disney, when they were trying to buy Fox, they couldn't buy all of it. They couldn't buy the news and then the Fox, sports, and all that because they already had a sports station. So they got the movie and then the TV shows and all that, like they got the channels. That's how they ended up, I think, with the National Geographic channel and all that too. Actually, no, I think they already owned it. They had the History Channel. That's what it is. History Channel is what they got. Which actually, no, wait. I don't know. I don't remember. Like, maybe it was the National Geographic. One of the channels they got there when they bought Fox, but I don't think they actually own. They don't own all of It doesn't say how much they own there, but they actually don't own all of the History Channel. I think they own like 60% of it, but they don't own all of it. But they own a lot of it. I'm not sure, like, are they splitting the money, or are they own the rights to air it? I'm not really sure, but it's kind of like a Hulu situation. Like, they don't own all of it. They just own a majority of it. So, but yeah, I don't know, but yeah, this is a pretty big mess, but yeah, I don't like anybody getting it here, but I definitely think Paramount's gonna get it, and like I said, I wouldn't mind, but I feel like that's gonna freaking make Paramount go broke and all that, because yeah, I feel like it's just Disney all over again. Like, they're just buying a lot of shit up, and they're becoming the next Disney, and that's not what I want. I want them to save the crap they already have, but I don't know. Like I said, at this point, I'm kind of just getting over Hollywood anymore. Like, I'm pretty much just, I'm just done. Like, I'll go see a movie here and there. I'll probably buy it on DVD, but I don't really want to subscribe to these platforms anymore. I mainly have them because my family has them, but I'm pretty much about done, I'm just like, it's just not really worth it, it's like, that's the thing. And even if Netflix gets, Warner Brothers, if you guys don't like them not releasing physical media, then just don't subscribe to their platform, Then they'll have to release it, and all that. But I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and let the video go from here. We'll see what happens. But, I don't know. I'm not really rooting for anybody. I'm kind of just like wanting it to be over, for the sake of the people working, at these studios, but we'll see what happens. But anywho, bye-bye.